love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kamen Riders. We're here to talk about Kamen Rider Geats. I'm your host. My name is Josh, and I am joined, as always, by...
Toby Tobes.
Toby, how is it going?
Josh, fantastic. It's a wonderful, 30-degree day out today. So,
oh God, it's so cold, here. What's the weather like normally for you? Is it is it come and go? Is it a hellscape all the time? I'm not sure what the vibe is.
So I'm East Coast USA, all the way by the ocean, and the past couple of years, at this point, it's either summer is nightmare or winter is too cold. Like our fall weather so far has been a week of 80-degree weather.
Yeah.
80 and rainy. And now it's 30 every day.
Yeah, that's the vibe here too. Yeah, I'm in Indiana, if you're not aware, you guys aren't aware. And the joke with Indiana has always been, and this is all kind of Midwest areas, is if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it'll change. But yeah, it's been exactly like you described. Just no, it's just going to be 80 degrees. And then the next day it's just going to be 25. And yeah, it snowed all day long yesterday, which is...
We got a splash of that yesterday, out of nowhere. I was like, Jesus Christ, not this already.
Yeah, I'm not someone... Are you someone who watches the weather?
No. If we have plans to go away for the weekend, for the day or a day trip outside thing,
oh, okay,
I'll at least remotely check just to be it's going to rain. I probably shouldn't do this. But other than that, it just sucks every day, so hell with it.
So, growing up, my parents would watch the news and would watch the weather and would have an idea about what was going to happen the next day. Should I wear a jacket or not? And I assumed at some point in the process of becoming an adult, you started doing that. And I just have never done that. So now I get to wake up and just be surprised that there's snow outside.
That's always fun. But the news is so usually morbid and boring anyway.
Yeah. Well, and also we do get the news a little bit differently than they did when they were younger. That was the one source, watch the news at the end of the day. And now we just sort of get inundated with it all day long.
And I also can install 13 different weather apps on my phone. That would give me all different information probably. So
here's the messed up thing though. I never look at weather on my phone even. I'm not even looking at a widget to tell me the temperature. That's how removed from weather I am.
You're just going fresh.
Yeah, it really is. I realized this week when I woke up to snow, not even knowing it was going to be cold outside, I realized that I'm not cut out for being an adult. Not ready for it.
Neither am I. Don't worry.
I guess condolences to my child that I'm supposed to be keeping alive.
You two can grow together. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go.
So, Josh, speaking of not growing up, yesterday you and I made huge pre-orders for games, and we're going to become Pokemon trainers extraordinaire.
Oh, that one's a stretch. You kind of broke my brain trying to make that work. Pokemon. Yeah. If I feel like we have to tell people that you're saying Pokemon because it's that it was that bad of a pun. We did, yeah. We coordinated our Pokemon purchases so we can trade
or something.
Yeah. I'm Scarlet, Team Scarlet.
And apparently I'm Team Violet, right?
Yeah, apparently.
The conversation last night was Josh goes, we're buying the games, right? And I said, yep. And he said, which one do you want? And I said, my whole plan was literally whatever one you don't get, I will.
I appreciated that so much. I was like, this is the type of efficient conversation that I know I can get out of Toby. And I love it. I was telling my wife, I was very tickled by the fact that you and I are discussing Pokemon purchases. You're sending me screenshots from Amazon where you did your pre-order. And then I find out that you are like out at the bar doing trivia. Like I love the idea that you're like out with friends, you're doing something social, and you're like, check out this Amazon screenshot where I bought this video game.
That's the great part about social media and the internet on your phone.
Yeah. This is why I love Toby. It was just there was something about that interaction and like knowing where you were that just really brought some joy to my life last night.
The weird duality of me.
Exactly. All right, Toby, we're here to talk about all this crap that we've been talking about for the past 5 minutes, but also Kamen Rider Geats, and we dove into episode 8 for this episode. So a little recap, I guess, for what's been going on. What kind of monster have we been fighting for this past episode, Toby?
I believe a cactus horse.
Cactus horse, Venus flytrap mixed in there. And what is the giant monster's one form of weakness?
If you spill his energy drink, he gets very mad.
Yep. You can't make that up. That is certainly what it is. This is also the final boss, supposedly for the Grand Prix here. And last episode, Geats kind of did a shady maneuver on Keiwa, we'll say, where he egged him on to go beat the big boss, knowing he would get beat up, just so he could kind of save him and unlock the last buckle, the ninja buckle. So this episode begins, and Keiwa is absolutely demolished.
That is true, but before you do this part,
uh-huh,
something was brought to my attention. Well, two things. One was brought to our attention, and one was brought to my attention. To our attention, apparently in the intro credits, as people get eliminated from the game, they actually change the intro credits, or like the intro video, we're going to call it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a fun fact everyone should know. If you're like me and haven't watched the intro since week 1.
Yeah, you've been skipping it. Yeah, we had a friend forward along like when the next game starts that they have new people and they're all in the intro. We're not that far yet in the show, but that's fun as well. So we were speculating early on that like, well, these people are in the intro, so maybe they're going to be around for a long time. Like, no, they're gone.
Yeah, and it even does like a cool like staticky effect of like instead of having them on the screen, it's just like their outline and like old school TV static of their color of their outfit.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet.
So the other part of this though, that since I don't pay attention to that video at all, I didn't really pay attention that good the first time, I don't think. So you might have to rewatch the intro right now, unless you remember it, because you're very wise with things.
I am, thank you.
There's a clip in the opening where the host lady has a gun on Geats.
Yes.
See, like what the fuck?
We watched this episode. We've watched these episodes 8 times now. This is our 8th one, and every time I generally watch the whole intro. But even if I don't, like when you skip ahead a couple times, I end up stopping there because that's towards the end of the intro, and it's badass. Yeah, she just has this big gun and she just points it straight at his head. They're like standing like arms length apart. So when she points the gun, she's just like right in his face with the gun. Very excited for when that happens.
So I think we should speculate real quick why that happens before we get way too far into this, because obviously we didn't pay attention to this or we saw it the first time and I haven't seen it since. So now it's brand new to me and awesome information.
What's your speculation? Let's hear your thoughts.
Maybe he tries to become the new host lady of the Grand Prix, or something weird happens where he wants to take her down for some like weird insider information we don't know about. She's just not having it.
I hope that's what he wrote on his card. My desire is to be the new host lady of the Desire Grand Prix. Yeah, I think I want it to be something similar to that, where his wish is to like, he's been playing for 2,000 years or whatever we found out. So I want his wish to be like, the Desire Grand Prix ends or something that would be like catastrophic to her and to the game and to the world. And she's got to like stop it. She's got to break out a gun to end him.
That makes sense. I mean, your vibe is Or your plan there was way better than mine is, I think.
It could also just be like something that they decided to do because it was stylish looking, and
That
that'll
just
never
never
actually
happens.
come up. Yeah, because also like there's a lot of that intro where it's like he's like tugging on chains, like he's locked up. It's like a lot of stuff that's very much just like super style and not actually like a scene from the show. But who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Who knows?
I do think that they it's not like they filmed the entire season of the show before airing it. Like I think they film it a lot more like a soap opera where they're like not that far ahead of where the episodes that are airing are, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if it runs that long, it would make more sense to kind of go as they go
Yeah.
and not so much like spend a year and a half recording 40 episodes before you start putting the 40 out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they're kind of in like kind of constant production. So yeah, if that gun scene is intended to happen like way later on in the episodes, like it hasn't been shot yet. They would reshoot it again if it does come up. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see if anything even remotely close to that happens in the show.
Exactly. And now we can get on with this episode.
Okay.
It was just brand new to me and fun. So I was like, oh shit, this is a point I didn't even know about.
How are you feeling about the song now that you've listened to it twice?
That's still not okay.
Okay. All right. Well, Keiwa got completely demolished being a Kamen Rider in this last episode. We open this episode, he's kind of doing the recap, and he's just like completely beaten up. He's got his like ribs taped. He looks like he might die. Thankfully, he is filming horizontally this time, which is the first time I think he's done that. So at least he's learned something. But he's looking rough.
And even like, it's not the best makeup, but he at least like it looks good. Like it looks like he actually like got his ass kicked.
It does actually look like blood. Like, when you think about it from the perspective of a kid's show, like if this was a kid's show in the States, they wouldn't do the blood part, right? They wouldn't do a lot of stuff probably in Kamen Rider, but yeah, the like big blood splotches on his face are actually pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Keiwa gets a call from Sarah. What does Sarah tell Keiwa when she calls him?
The monsters are coming?
Yeah, monsters are coming. They're here. Oh my god. She's under attack. The Giamato are there, and he kind of like tells her like, okay, like you need to run away, get away. They'll eat you, essentially. She's like, how do you know that? And then she sees someone get just like disintegrated next to her.
And like, as part of that seems like a weird conversation to me. Like, even if I know she's in like the high stress situation kind of deal, but I mean, his statement doesn't seem like you'd have to be a Kamen Rider to know that kind of information.
Yeah,
like,
I thought the same.
Yeah, like if someone's hunting you and your friend is like, just hide so it doesn't see you, that seems like it would work anywhere.
How do you know about that? Like, well, I've met danger before. I don't know. Like, yeah, I totally agree. That was a little shoehorned in to like give her the like starting point of thinking that he knew more, but it was not really earned, not really warranted.
It's gonna jam in there so they can talk about it later.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is it's kind of a very stressful opening, but then we cut over to Neon, and mind you, the Kamen Riders that are left here, the 4 people that are left, just faced this final boss. They thought they'd won. Turns out they didn't actually. They're all really suddenly really worried about dying and the world ending because they're not sure if they can even beat this final boss. And Neon has done some arts and crafts. She's put up goalposts and decorated them, and she's practicing kicking a can in the Kamen Rider lounge. And at one point, she kicks it so hard that it ricochets across the room, bounces off all the walls, and hits Buffa square in the face.
I think her kick skill, let alone like, so right now they're not in the rider uniforms or whatever you want to call them. So the fact that she somehow has like a magic kick that can bounce a can off of at least 5 walls in a room.
Yeah, it either they were either going for that being like a Looney Tunes-esque, like drop the anvil on your head moment that isn't supposed to be like real, or we are supposed to believe that just the possession of a Kamen Rider belt means that you have superhuman strength.
Yeah, and which goes back to one of our earlier conversations too.
Yep.
Does getting the belt make you good at martial arts, which seemed like no at first, but now not even being transformed but having one makes you have legs of steel or iron or how the hell that works.
Super kick powers. Yep. Neon gets scolded here a little bit by the butler friend. Kind of tells her, listen, if you want to practice, take it to the training area. Can't do it here. Because it seemed like a little bit of a weird choice that she knew about the training areas, but decided to set up this whole kick the can course right in the middle of their lounge.
Well, I mean, I guess I would assume she just wants the company, and like we're all just chilling, having fun. Like, I'm not gonna like boot up the training simulator to kick a can.
I'm not unreasonable here. In similar fashion of things that I didn't realize were connected to the lounge, there's a bed, because that's where Keiwa was like laying and resting from his injuries. He stumbles out from behind a curtain, which is where the bed is, and basically is like, I gotta get down there and save my sister. Final boss appears. He's ready to go. He says, hurry up and send me down. I don't care. And like, he's chomping at the bit to get down and save his sister.
He actually went like full, I'm going to be a hero mode for once, and not from that lovable baby boy he was a few episodes ago too. I don't give a shit. I'm probably going to die. We're going to go for it.
Yeah, he. I wrote down Keiwa is on a mission here. Like, he is singular focus saving my sister. He goes full on protagonist mode, like super anime protagonist. You know, fighting through your injuries to overcome an ultimate strength to save the, innocent person. Like 100% Keiwa is transformed in this episode. They're reminded at this point, don't face the boss head on. You're trying to kick the can. That's the goal here. Buffa really starts to ramp up the aggression against Geats at this point. He tells Geats, it's you or me. Geats doesn't really care. He just kind of like eggs him on. And then everyone's transformed. Everyone's down there fighting. Keiwa's looking for his sister, and everyone else kind of gets tangled up with some Giamato. There was one particular scene. They zoom in on the butt of one of the Giamato, which I found pretty funny. I don't know if you remember that. There's like the Giamato butt kind of like walks into frame, and it's a real tight shot on real tight Giamato butt.
Josh paused the video at that point. That's really why this is getting pointed out, just so everybody knows.
I did rewind to watch it again. I did, because it was so shocking to me. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that happened. There's a really cool like in motion henshin for Keiwa. So he's running, and as he's running, he transforms because he finally sees Sarah. So Sarah gets to see him transform into a Kamen Rider. Like, obviously she's like, what is this? As he transforms. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm shocked that's okay.
Yeah. Well, like
in the I guess if everyone gets mind wiped at the end of every game, I guess it doesn't really matter. But for how much the like Grand Prix host lady said, like, you better not be taping this for anybody else, or you better not be live blogging what you're doing, or wherever the hell that was. The fact that, I mean, I guess he had to because it's his sister and everything, but it's weird they just let it go.
Yeah. They let it go, but like we'll get to this at the end. Like, he also is done with the game too. Spoilers for the end of this episode. But Keiwa's kind of out of commission at this point from his injuries. So maybe that's why there weren't repercussions, like, because it was very clear before, like, you don't tell people in your lives that this is happening.
Right.
But I guess when you're saving civilians, they're seeing all the Kamen Riders transform, all the civilians when they drop down. So in this case, she was just another civilian. So maybe that made it okay. But nonetheless, she kind of freaks out. She's like confused, like, Keiwa, what's going on? She reaches out and kind of brushes his Kamen Rider buckle, his driver. She touches the like little green coin on the front, and right as she does, she like freezes and starts like kind of having a vision, and she sees kind of like what look like bouncing beads or balls or something on the ground, and she like freaks out.
And the tears start and crazy flashbacks
Yep.
begin.
Exactly. So we'll come back to her in a second. Real quick, we'll check in on Neon and Buffa and Geats here. Neon's just fighting some of the Giamato. Not really much going on with her. Buffa, however, throws one of the Giamato bodies at Geats, kind of like collides with him, and says he's willing to take a penalty over Geats winning any day. And the two of them just start fighting.
The ultimate bro fight between those two, where they just hardcore actually fight.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like the aggression ramps up. I think Buffa, of course, knows the end of the game is coming and has decided full on to just prevent Geats from winning. But anyway, back to Sarah's vision. It is a vision we find out basically of her parents dying. And the Giamato, she reveals she's remembering now, are the monsters that killed her mom and dad. Keiwa's confused by this, like he doesn't remember it, but like touching the belt kind of brought on her memories. Then we get a view of what she's remembering of her flashback. And yeah, Giamato are attacking. This is like kind of pretty heavy stuff, really, because the Giamato like have her mom and dad sort of by the throats, and like one of the Giamato just like literally slugs the mom, like just full on punches her. Mom and dad are like bloody, fall to the ground, and as they fall, someone's kind of pulling Sarah away, and in true like Batman origin story fashion, a bracelet that she has with beads gets broken and all the beads fly everywhere, much like the pearls in Batman's origin story. So that's what she was picturing.
It was crazy with that part too, because when the dad got killed, he had this weird, like, he was holding him by the throat and it kind of looked like he broke his neck to kill him. But then the dad just kind of like flops on the ground and does like the dramatic reach out of like, go run.
Yeah. The by the throat look, like you were saying, is like, it was crazy looking. That was the first time I'm like, wow, this is a kid's show. Yeah, obviously didn't like murder them at that point, but murdered them quickly afterwards. So I don't know if that makes it too much better. But Sarah, that all comes rushing back. She's like pretty upset that she had forgotten that. She does reveal that Keiwa wasn't with them, so that's why he's not in the flashback. I don't know if that'll be important later or not, but like she pointed that out pretty specifically in the middle of her, trauma that she's working back through. So I wonder if it'll come up.
Well, it's weird too, because like she makes the statement of like, our parents didn't die in an accident. I remember now. But so obviously they died during one of the attacks, but then how would they, like, who found them to make this announcement if the game world gets wiped and erased and shit during the games?
Like how did the memory of the accident get planted?
You
mean, or?
Like I would, or even if like someone called, like if the cops called and were like, hey, just saying your parents died in an accident, like how would that look like an accident? Even if they just found them, there would have been a shitload of bodies just laying everywhere, and where the cops just like, whoop, there was an accident, I guess. Yeah. My job's done now.
We don't really know much about the extent and the powers of the like memory wipe that happens. So maybe they can kind of do all that with the memory wipe of like, okay, your parents died with the Giamato, but we're going to make you think that you had a funeral or whatever. Maybe they can like plant all that knowledge. I don't know.
We're getting playing fast and loose with the rules again of this universe.
Yeah, that's kind of been true of this whole series. Like, and we've been doing it in these episodes, like if you pick things apart, like they're super unclear and sometimes super inconsistent with their logic. But yeah, it's very like high level. It all sort of makes sense what's going on. But when you really start breaking it down, like the stuff about like, okay, if you want the whole world to die, like why are we going to allow that wish to come true when the whole point of this game is saving the world? Like that doesn't make any sense. So in the midst of Sarah's trauma here, the Giamato come and attack. Sarah gets taken away. They carry her away. The Giamato basically ends with his like foot on Keiwa, kicks Keiwa down. He's laying down. Giamato just kind of stomps him out. That's where we leave Keiwa. And then we cut back to Buffa and Geats that are just full on battling now. So not even pretending anymore. Just 100% like chainsawing each other.
I will cut you in half if I can.
Yep. At one point in the fight, we get to see Geats turn into a log. So he's got the ninja buckle. So he does like ninjutsu move where he was a different place and he wasn't where you thought he was, and he turns into a log. And then they do this really cool slam onto a parked car. So they're like up really high. They both fall. Becomes kind of a superhero landing onto a parked car. And I thought that was awesome. And that was like it looked like a practical effect too. Like I don't think they'd CG'd that car. They destroyed a car for that shot. That was awesome.
Well, yeah, it's definitely one of the ones of like one episode will have the real nice money put into it for the effects, and the next one will have bad ones. So like with the marble beads bracelet shot, and then like the car blowing up and those kind of things. This is one of the better episodes for that stuff.
Yeah, and even the stuff that was cheesier and like not quite as good, it wasn't as bad to the level that like last episode was. Like there's some big monster stuff later on in this episode we get where like, Keiwa's flying around doing stuff and like, it gets bad again at spots, but still better than last episode. I like this part because Geats told Buffa to not butt in on his highlight. That was pretty good. And meanwhile, while all this fighting is happening, the final boss gets away again. We have a quick little cut back to the game master, and she says this is the largest number of victims ever. So that's fun. That while they were fighting amongst themselves, they let a bunch of people die. That's cool.
And not even that, they're all so, I guess, bad and argumentative and enough of a personality clash where like they can't figure their shit out. That like this, like the bad stuff actually happens more so with these clowns versus the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. They're the worst ever. Congratulations. Since the final boss disappeared, they're kind of back in the lounge. Keiwa wakes up freaking out. He's in the bed, again, kind of resting. He says the final boss took his sister. He needs to get out there again. And Geats tells him, like, listen, you don't push yourself. Calm down. Keiwa says he can't lose his family again. And he kind of reveals to them that Sarah remembered that Giamato killed the mom and dad.
All I could think of in these moments with him all beat up and trying to get up and going back out, this is how Batman got his back broken. He just wouldn't quit. And he kept going back out to fight people, and then Bane broke him in half.
Yeah, truly. It is. We talked about it, like anime protagonist, like superhero. Keiwa is definitely fully in the putting myself first before all of the innocent lives I'm trying to save type person in this episode. My health, anything about me doesn't matter. It's only about saving lives. I was digging Keiwa this episode. He definitely had reached his full potential, I guess, as a protagonist.
He finally hit his high note. He
did. Geats also has another flashback back to the old timey mom from 1 AD or whatever it was. Before that, even, I guess. The flashback this time, he looks at his Caesar coin and it flashes back to a child hand holding the Caesar coin. So obviously him when he's a child.
So he's had it forever. Ever since the good old days of Caesar back in whatever year in BC that was.
Yeah. He touches it so often. It's amazing. In 2,000 years, he hasn't like rubbed the Caesar face off.
You would think that would be possible.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Most coins that get preserved like that aren't really messed with on a regular basis.
Nope. They all, they're back in the lounge. And at this point, Keiwa has an idea for how to take down the final boss. And his idea is teaming up, which seems pretty basic to me.
Let's pretend like we're friends for once.
Yeah. His plan, as he describes it, is someone will distract the final boss and someone else will kick the can. Seems okay. However, no one else is on board for this. Buffa says they're playing the game for a prize because Keiwa says, we're trying to save the world. Keiwa asks Geats if he's down. Even Neon won't help. She wants to win. She wants to create the world in her own vision. And Geats says, no one is in the wrong here, which I think it's pretty clear. Everyone but Keiwa is in the wrong here, because if you don't help, the world's going to end. But okay, whatever.
Like
Geats,
this whole conversation they have in the lounge about how to finish the boss, how to play the end of the game, blah 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 blah. I don't. I didn't understand his whole lecture.
me
because
neither.
because like Kayla's plan was one of us will distract it, someone else kicks it, and they all argued with the plan like there's a different way to do this. But then Geet's lecture is like you have to play the game so someone wins. But
Yeah.
I don't understand how Kayla's plan wasn't someone winning. Like it seemed like there was a really weird like disconnect of me not understanding the point of the speech, because it just seemed like the speech was we need to go down and like beat the thing.
Because Keiwa wasn't saying someone else distract the monster and I will kick the can and win. He was just saying this is what we're going to do. We're going to split these jobs up. And everyone else was sort of presenting it as, or like their argument was like, no, I'm going to win the game. It's like, you still can. You can be the one who kicks the can. And even Geats was trying to tell him how entitled he was, which didn't seem appropriate here, because he's like, listen, if you and your sister can be saved, would you care about anyone else? Look how entitled you are. And then Geats says, if you want something, fight for it. That's your only choice. And it's like, that's what he's doing. That's what he's attempting to do. He's trying to figure out how to save his sister and the world. It doesn't seem to make him entitled to me.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird. I really didn't understand that conversation.
No,
or the point of it, or the logic behind it, or how it's supposed to work out.
I'm usually pretty down for Geets's pep talks and trying to pick Keiwa up and get him to do stuff and all that things. But yeah, this one was completely lost on me, because Keiwa was 100% in like Rambo mode. Let's go do it. And Geats is like, you need to fight. It's like, yeah, man, he's way ahead of you here. We get a little shot of Sarah when she got taken. She's been like sandwiched in Venus flytrap. I guess mouths. I don't really know.
Yeah, whatever the weird stabby things were on the weird tower growth.
Yeah,
trunk branch stem.
And this is maybe the worst CGI of the episode, is the looks we get at Sarah here, because it's not great. It doesn't look amazing. We're back in it again with the final boss now. Everyone's trying on their own to kick the can, so no one decided to work together as expected. The Giamato appear and kind of start battling everybody, sort of but Keiwa. He gets a second to like breathe while everyone else starts fighting. And Keiwa uses that time to basically become the distraction on his own. So kind of as he was proposing, he uses the boost buckle so he can run away really, really fast. And he boosts around the big monster and gets him to focus on himself.
And it was crazy because that was like he went full blown like, I'm actually going to battle. Like this is like the most actual action hero mode thing he's done the entire time.
Yeah, for sure. It was also kind of funny. This is sort of like what he got himself into the last episode. Like when Geats was like, "Hey, thanks for getting your butt kicked for me," was also like using the boost buckle to try to like take the bad guy down. Now he's using the boost buckle to try to distract the bad guy. But it was funny, he got to sort of like redeem himself there. Geats is like deciding, he's like, "Oh, if he's gonna be a distraction, then yeah, I'll go in and kick the can." But Geats attempts to transform, attempts to use the ninja buckle, and it like refuses to work. It does a weird like buzz noise and doesn't do the transformation. And maybe we'll find out why in just a second. At this point, Keiwa just gets like roasted, just completely obliterated by this like huge spike coming from the enemy. But after the explosion clears away, Keiwa turns into a log. Dun dun dun. Turns out what's that?
Was there something in there that I was supposed to understand why he turned into a log?
Yeah, so that was why Geats turned into a log earlier, to show you that the ninja buckle can do that.
Somehow I missed Geats turning into a log.
Yeah, that was when he was fighting Buffa.
I thought you vaguely mentioned it, and I must have like looked away from the screen for like the 2 seconds it happened.
It was very fast. Yeah,
Okay.
in the Buffa fight, it was super super quick. But at one point, Buffa goes for like a big strike, and Geats, where he was standing, gets replaced with a log that Buffa cuts through instead. And then Geats actually appears like above him and falls down, and yeah.
Okay.
So Keiwa turns into a log, but Keiwa didn't have the ninja buckle. Well, it turns out when Geats tried to transform with it, it flew out of his hand, went to Keiwa, like I guess followed his heart, or however you want to word it, and Keiwa was able to turn into kind of ninja mode right as the huge spike came down and blew him up. So then he was able to ninja out of there, and we get our first look at like full-on ninja Tanuki, which I thought was awesome looking.
Oh yeah, like his costume was fantastic in super bonus mode.
Yeah, and pretty clear too. Like, okay, yeah, this is the ultimate form. This is what the kind of Tanuki suit is supposed to look like. Which it was nice finally seeing. We get some really cool shots at this point. So Keiwa, again, continuing now that he's full on ninja mode, he's just going ham. So he flies into a school, and we get like a really cool shot where he's like jumping through the classrooms in a school while the monster's kind of shooting at him. So he's like teleporting through walls and stuff. It's very neat.
Well, yeah, like that was, again, going back to, this is one of the parts that looked good. Like it looked,
yep,
especially like before he started running through the school, because obviously at that point was a little heavier on the CG, but like he jumped from like rooftop to rooftop into the window of the building, and it all looked pretty practical. Like there's probably just wires and actual like normal human being special effects.
Right. And then then at some point in this, he also pairs the boost buckle up with the ninja buckle. So he's like his ultimate powered up form, and he ends up basically like doing Shadow of the Colossus on the boss monster. He gets on his body and runs up. Is he on the monster, or was he on like the big tower that the monster has? I can't remember.
I think it was on the monster, because it kind of looked like he was cutting. It looked like when they show in media, like something shrunk down to someone's head, and like they're walking through like hair, and it kind of looks like spikes, kind of, but like it looks like, I guess, the little cactus prickles he was running through.
Yeah, that's exact. Yeah, it looked like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's Keiwa and a giant monster. Exactly. Honey, I Shrunk the Keiwa. So yeah, he runs up this monster, kind of ends up like getting, I guess, to the top, jumps off, does his big rider kick, which is called Grand Victory.
I was stoked that they did the drop kick. I was like, this is a reference I actually get.
Hell yeah. Which they hadn't given us many of those, really. Like there had been other sort of big finishing moves, but yeah, the fact that we actually got the rider kick was awesome.
Well, I think the last time they did it was when they showed Geats and the boss that first episode. Because that was the intro to all this crap for me, where I said, like, I know they do the drop kicks.
Yeah. Yeah, and since then we'd had like, there was one where it's like a ground kick that wasn't quite a drop kick. We've had like Neon had her big hammer hit that was kind of like a big finishing move, but yeah, we're finally back to the rider kick. Since Keiwa kind of like takes out the enemy here, takes out the big tower, all of the previous victims kind of like fall to the ground, including Sarah, and everyone runs up to kick the can at this point. So everyone but Keiwa. We get a series of events here now that Buffa, I think, tries to hit it, but doesn't quite hit it in time. Geats is the one who hits it. Geats kind of hits it up in the air, and Neon kicks it to sort of rocket it out of the kind of like monster area.
So like, I don't know how much you ever played, or if we ever played it, but like people that are good at Rocket League can do crazy moves like that and score goals to do like crazy aerials. And that's all I could think of. She did like this crazy double backflip dash to like strike the can at just the right time to like roundhouse it out of the arena. So I was just wow, it reminds me of Rocket League.
Yeah, no, that's a great reference. It is 100% Rocket League. Yeah. Everyone, like, they think that they're all good for a second. Hey, we killed the enemy. but there's no end announcement. So something fishy is going on here. Keiwa is hurt really bad after all of that. He collapses. Sarah's there. She's looking okay after her debacle. She's kind of checking on Keiwa, and she tells him, "Here's your heartfelt moment." She tells him, "You really are an awesome adult now." And we find out that he kept that ninja star that they were looking at previously from when he was a kid. He had it in his pocket. That was his sort of like good luck charm. And he kind of pulls it out like, "Hey, look, I became a real ninja."
I was impressed. I was like, my one note just says like, what a fucking throwback that was. Like that was an amazing way to wrap up that story, I guess.
It was, yeah. Also, like, I really appreciate that they didn't feel the need to like do a flashback for us to remind us that she, he had the ninja star and she called him an awesome adult. Like, like I'm really glad they didn't feel the need to like remind us about that stuff. They just like let it sit.
Yeah.
Because they've been really good about that this show, of just like letting their audience be intelligent and remember things, which I feel like is not always the case with shows like this. The game leader lady comes up and she says that because of Keiwa's injuries, he can't continue with the game. He'll be eliminated. And he says, "And then I go back to a normal life." And she's like, "Yeah, you do." And Keiwa's happy about this. He's like, "Yeah, my sister, needs me to take care of her. And yeah, we'll go back to my normal life. All's good." He tries to give the ninja buckle back to Geats and kind of says like, "Hey, thanks. This was good. I, used it to save my sister." And Geats says, "You saved her with your undying heart." Geats was really moved by this performance, apparently. Keiwa says, "Are you lying?" And Geats says, I might be.
I say shit to you sometimes. You never really know if I mean it or not.
I like Geats' hard swings back and forth between like, I'm gonna be really heartfelt right now and act like I'm your best friend, to haha, you're my enemy. Sucks you died.
I might not even mean the things I'm saying to you.
Yeah. just real real hard swings. Then Keiwa fades away. He's no longer qualified to be a Kamen Rider. That's what we find out. And Geats, again, seeming a little like touching, sort of. He comes over, he kind of picks up the ninja star, hands it to Sarah, and he says, "Leave the rest to me, Tycoon. I'll end the world with my own hands." Which is back to that episode 1 Geats that I loved so much.
And even that line that could tie to why the host lady pulls the gun on him at some point.
It could,
maybe he wants to end the world with his own hands, and she's like, "We're not playing that," and has to put the fox down.
Homie, don't play that, fox. So yeah, we got our ultimate Keiwa, our ultimate sort of Kamen Rider Tycoon, and now he's out of the game. What do you think about that?
I'm honestly shocked that he was the next one to go and is not like, I'm sure him, the character, will still be in the show and maybe he'll get to Rider again. But I'm actually shocked that like his story ended before like the game actually ended.
Me too. Yeah, I can't believe that he wasn't pivotal in at least, this first game ending. I definitely think he'll be back for the next game when the world resets, but we'll see. Maybe not. It's called Kamen Rider Geats. It's not called Kamen Rider Tycoon. So they certainly gave Keiwa, if that's the last we see of him, they certainly gave Keiwa like a massive send off here. Like he became the full on like Superman hero and saved his sister.
I thought it was cool that like, I'll call it his chain of events, but the ninja buckle never would have came in the first place, other than the fact that he did the self-sacrifice like last episode.
Yeah.
And then the reason they won and he got to do super boost, the buckle warped to him when it wasn't supposed to, was because like he followed up on the sacrifice thing. Like he doubled up on what he was supposed to be, and it all worked out then.
Yeah, that's totally true. It was his destiny all along.
Exactly.
So we kind of talked about it last episode. We're like, yeah, for sure they're going to end the world this next episode. They're not going to drag it out over 2 episodes. Lo and behold, The monster apparently still lives. The game didn't end. Just Keiwa got eliminated, but the fight still continues. So we've got one more episode at least
Well,
of this game.
well, so like our recording times, at least catching up, is a little different than the show's been coming out.
Mhm.
But I guess it kind of makes sense that like the next episode is obviously the end, and that led into them taking that week or two break. You said,
A week off, yeah. So and this happens like a couple times a year where like the time slot when Kamen Rider airs in Japan gets preempted because like there's a sporting event or there's a golf tournament or whatever is happening in that particular time. So I think this one was maybe a golf tournament is what I
okay,
read. Yeah.
but yes, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like,
The arc ends and then
and then you have a week to calm down, get hyped for the next part of it, and
yeah, that does line up pretty well for sure. And they would know that they're going to be, preempted a long time in advance, so they could plan that out and make sure that's sort of where the kind of first game's arc ends. But yeah, I was stoked about this. This is I think another really good episode, at least for me. I love getting to see the full on ninja tycoon. That was cool, and I'm happy the CGI was a little bit better.
you got to go out in style a little bit.
Yeah. Any other thoughts for you on this episode?
No, I think I hit all my main ones. I mean, the biggest one was obviously I was shocked that Keiwa, quote unquote, died and
Yeah.
was not part of the ending, but I guess that makes sense. It gives him a reason to still be around, but not really. And then I was also curious if Sarah's a little too involved now, and I know she knows things, and I
Yep.
know they do the brain wipes, but then like they could also get away with at this point he can't come back, but maybe Sarah can come back in his place.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you next. If you thought at any point in this show does Sarah become a writer?
Because it would make more sense for me if she did. I think if she saw Keiwa go down in a less than honorable way, she would have the motivation like Buffa almost of like, well, fuck you, Yeats. I'm gonna come beat you for my brother.
Yeah.
But she got to only really see like the good parts, or like there's no necessarily like open end for her to have to close for him. So I don't know.
True. Except for just the like general thing of these things killed my parents. Like she could still be really angry about that. Obviously,
That's true. That would be a motivator, and then she can wish for the same thing that Geats probably is at some point of where's my parents.
Yeah. Someone should really just wish for the Giamato to no longer exist. That seems like it'd be a real smart thing to do.
Well, yeah, like there's a lot of weird rules again of how the agreement works for the games and other dumb shit like that. So it seems really could just be like, I wish this would all stop. But I mean, it also ties to most people don't work that way. Like everyone usually is motivated. Obviously, this is motivated for themselves and not for the greater good necessarily.
Yeah, they wouldn't even work together to save the world at the end here. So yeah, most people are going to be pretty self-serving.
It's just like the genie in Aladdin. He was trapped for 10,000 years. No, Rita was 10,000 years.
Yeah, Rita.
The genie was trapped forever. And Al was the first one to be like, my wish is for you to go have fun now.
Aw.
And it's the same vibe. Like
that's so wholesome. Yeah, no, totally.
Keiwa's basically like, his wish was, I want the genie to be free. And everyone else is just like, I'm going to use the genie for wishes. I don't give a fuck.
I just had a thought. I just had a realization that, Sarah is this huge Lord Ace fan, this huge Neon fan, and she had no idea at the end there that the two Kamen Riders standing in front of her were like her two big idols. She's like, my brother's wrapped up all in this, but yeah, this guy comforting me. I don't think he ever like unhensioned, did he, in front of her, or he may have.
No, because when the host lady was saying, "Okay, Keiwa, you have to go home now," they were all unhensioned. Because when he
okay.
Because when he says to Geats like, "Hey, take the buckle,"
Oh yeah, right. He's not in.
They're on like they're in the work uniforms, but not like the costumes. So I guess she was just like too wrapped up in the moment. Maybe that wasn't really thinking about all these people I adore are actually like action heroes.
She really took that in stride. That's impressive. Like not only are these two people I love, but also my brother are action heroes. All right. Well, that is Kamen Rider Geats episode 8. It's certainly a fun one, and I am excited next episode for hopefully the conclusion of this game, Rebuilding of the World. If you want to check out our past episodes, please do so. You can find those on the podcast feed. Just search for the Kamen Riders in your favorite podcast app. You can also check out the video versions of our episodes. Again, search for the Kamen Riders on YouTube to find the playlist of past episodes there. And those are always fun to follow along on, put up screenshots kind of what we're talking about so you can get some of the visuals and see some of the terrible CGI that we're referencing. Like I said, we'll be back next week to talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 9. So watch that and then come listen to our discussion of it. Until then, we will be crossing our fingers for better CGI. Whoa! What?
You're forgetting the most important part.
Oh, right. We're people, and people can follow us too. I was so excited, Toby. All right, tell the people where they can find you.
So you can at least find me on YouTube, which I don't think is going away as of this recording. At Tobes Plays. Right now, I'm finishing up Yakuza Like a Dragon and watching the last videos of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, which is the conclusion of the Dark Seeker saga, Josh, until the new games come out next year.
The Dark Secret Saga.
Seeker.
Oh, Dark Seeker. Okay. The Dark Secret Saga sounds like it sounds like what happens like when I go poop or something. I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
It sounds like a euphemism for pooping. Although that's kind of what Kingdom Hearts is as a whole, really. It's a euphemism for pooping.
Hey. You would love those games. You're missing out on wasting like 7 years of your life playing them straight through during COVID.
Speaking of, not to get completely derailed into random conversations, my Facebook has decided that I'm a Disney adult now, and it's very upsetting. I don't know why it thinks this, but so on Facebook I have unfollowed pretty much every human being. So it can't show me posts from like all of my idiot relatives and stuff. I'm in a couple groups and it can show me posts from those, but I don't think that's enough to like populate a timeline. So right now it is showing me posts from random people in groups that I'm not even in. And in a couple cases, it's like guessed correctly of things I would like, where it's like, oh, this is a post from, I don't know, a Godzilla group or something. I'm like, all right, that's relevant to my interests. But now recently it's been showing me posts about like Disney World and like Walt Disney cosplayers and stuff. It's like, this is not me.
This is not me.
What are we doing here? Anyway, it reminded me of Kingdom Hearts.
Perfect. And I guess
Sephiroth.
Shut up. And I'm sure Twitter will be fine. But you can find me on Twitter, at least if it's still up, at Life of Tobes, TOBES.
Yeah, we're as we're recording this, it seems like 75% of Twitter's employees maybe don't work there anymore. But we'll see if Twitter's still around. You can find me there. I'm at Pretty Dece Josh. I also am on the YouTube. You can find the episodes and stuff there. Just search for Pretty Dece and you will find it. I think it's youtube.com/Pretty Dece. I believe it's with the URL there. All right. So now that's going to do it for us for this episode. Until then, keep fighting.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the song.